Hello Airship fans, it's the Dude and I'm here with Stuart and Venetia.
Hello.
And we're just talking about the mighty Airship hut. So what do you think of it so far?
It's really cool. It's the first Earthship hut that we've seen. We've been kind of doing a little bit of research and looking at some land to buy, but yeah, it's really cool to actually see one, and it is possible.
It's good to know what it feels like inside it too. I grew up in a Queenslander house with big balconies and big windows and eaves and air always blowing through, and I was really sort of worried about what it would be like to essentially be in a hole in the earth, because I love the concept. I really love the concept, but I didn't know what it would be feel like, and it does feel really lovely, and there's a good amount of sort of airflow, far more airflow than I thought there would be.
Yeah, no, I've got the vents was one of the things that Mike Reynolds said in that university lecture that I've talked about before.
Yeah.
And I've had this idea of installing the turbo beam whirligig, just to make sure that I think they call the process convection, where you suck it at the bottom and it swirls around and exits out at the top. But yeah, I close that door and sort of lock it and stay here overnight, and it's
free air conditioning.
Yeah, it's not a bad experience at all. Sometimes I've got a PowerPoint, I put a fan in, and that's usually just enough to get me through the summer. And it's been pretty darn hot in Brisbane over the last month or so. So
well, you can even feel the air movement today a little, putting your hand in front of those vents. It's really nice. Yeah. And I like the disco effect that the whirlybird kind of creates. The light.
And what's the drivers for interest? Is it more economic, or is it environmental, or a combination of all those things?
For me, it's environmental, and it's also being able to create my own space and have it a workable piece of artwork, or like an expression of myself.
Yep.
I've sort of always wanted to kind of build my own home, but this type of home in particular, it's about something that is a combination of all the things that I really am quite passionate about in terms of environmental sustainability. So that's for me.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm pretty much the same.
Yep.
But also, economic in that you're not going to be hopefully at the end of the day left with a mortgage that weighs you down for the rest of your life. We both came up from Sydney. We've been living there for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And you just kind of
a vapor trail of zeros where you're slave to this thing for basically the most of your adult life.
Exactly. And just the fact that in Sydney, to buy anything is just so impossible. It feels absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
So the glimmer of hope that you'd be able to actually buy and build your own place, and for that to be affordable is really amazing.
I really like the self-reliance kind of concept that goes with it as well. I think that would feel very nice to be
off the grid, town and water. We talked about water collection before, and we've got the capability now of draining it to that point over there into like a system that you can buy, or
exactly, you can kind of do everything,
or just build it yourself. You can build them out of cans.
Yeah, one of the phrases that stuck out, I think we were watching Garbage Warrior, that Mike Reynolds said was
outstanding. Cool.
I think he talked about owning your own life.
Yeah.
And just being able to wake up and go, I have everything I need. I don't need to go to this place to buy water or electricity or food.
Yeah.
I can if I choose. And so that interaction with society and with, I guess the system would be more on our own terms, rather than just we're kind of forced into it in a way if you can't provide for yourself. So I like that concept.
And I think what I was saying before is that I'm not a builder at all. I don't got no building experience, but as Mike Reynolds says, it allows people like myself to actually get in and have a go, because the building practices and the method and the actual reality of it is actually very forgiving. So I've made a few mistakes, but I've been able to get through it, and this is the end result. So.
Yeah.
I think we were watching somebody who was saying they used to play with Lego and Meccano, and then this was just the next step up.
Yeah,
extension of that. Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea, because everybody loves Lego, right? Or we used to have this patch underneath the house that was just essentially clay pit that Dad just hadn't excavated, and I go down there and make clay, worlds sort of thing. And it's that sort of sense of that childish wonder.
Yeah.
And why can't we do that as adults?
There's so many rules and regulations. As Mike says in the lecture, wasps and beavers can make their own homes. Why can't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's him or who's in the Earthship community that says, trees are capable of benefiting the environment.
Yeah.
Why can't humans?
Yeah.
And then this is really some way of saying, okay, I'm going to use recycled materials.
Yep.
I'm going to take stuff out of landfill, like not only just do something that is using a sustainable thing, but actually taking something that's otherwise harming the environment. And then on this particular spot of ground, use the resources that are here. So what earth is there?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to use to create what I am. So you're reducing your carbon footprint or your footprint on the earth because you're actually just limiting yourself to this small amount of space. And actually that's the other thing, small. Like, why is it that we're obsessed with making these giant houses that then we have to fill with stuff instead of
air conditioning? My goodness, I wouldn't like to know how much that coal fire that sources Brisbane, that must have been running at maximum capacity over the last couple of weeks.
That's something that really distressed me over the last couple of weeks, actually. I try not to get too passionate about it.
Yeah.
But everyone on those really hot days was like, oh, I can't wait to get home and turn the air conditioning on. I'm thinking, how have you not worked out that you're exacerbating the problem? We just haven't sort of clicked in our consciousness as a community to say, actually what we need to do is start thinking about it's extreme heat.
It's a bigger issue.
What can we possibly do to reduce the amount of energy drain that we're putting on the grid? And if it's as simple as every single person deciding, instead of turning on the air conditioning in their giant houses, to either just not or maybe just do it in one room, or think about the lifestyle changes and the ways that we design our buildings and houses.
That's right, because if you guys talk about building into the side of a hill and tapping into the Earth's temperature and cooling the room that way. Certainly that's one way of getting out of the AC thing that I talked about. And other animals around Australia, you'd probably be onto this, is things like the bats of Casino. They just fell out of the tree dead because they just couldn't handle the heat. And I think that would be probably, as every year it's going up, there's going to be tons of other living organisms that's going to face the same things. I don't know where it's all going to end.
But I think that it's really important that we start thinking about ways to adapt that don't involve exacerbating the problem. So this is a way to adapt to a warming climate. It's not just a warming climate, it's a climate of greater extremes. So you're working out a way to be adapting without saying, I'll just turn the air conditioning on and the heating on when it becomes really cold. You're saying, okay, the climate is utterly changing. Right, now what can we do that's not going to make that worse or kill more bats? I think it's turtles that there's a huge the proportion of male and females that are being born is being skewed because one is born at a hotter temperature than the other. So now that everything
there's
is
no question that we're messing with the laws of nature. So
and I think then it is about changing what we have as our conception of what is the house we want. Because I think a lot of people have this notion that to be successful or to be happy, you do need a house with all the trimmings. Now, I can't see a Smeg oven in here, or your matching Smeg kettle, or your matching, you're going to have to, we actually have to change what we think is the definition of happiness and being comfortable. And part of that is to say, okay, I want a mortgage-free life rather than having a monetary burden on our shoulders for our, the greater part of our existence. But in order to have that, I'm going to accept a smaller home where I'm comfortable.
That's it.
But without all the ridiculous trimmings that we're sold as being important.
Yeah. And there was a political figure from 40 years ago called Jimmy Carter who famously said, we in the West have got to, rein in this consumerism because it's out of control and it's destroying our lives. And, guess what happened next? He got booted out. But now
nobody wants to think about it.
I don't think these are going to go out of vogue anytime, Harry, because it's so, to my mind anyway, it seems to be an answer to future problems, which haven't come yet, but
I believe,
I believe, in my opinion anyway, that yeah, they're coming, and the people, they won't be able to rely on governments and corporations to get them out of the hole. I think they're going to have to just take matters into their own hands, and this is one possible pathway to get them, get the basics done, which is shelter, food, and water.
Yeah. You just, I know you're concluding, but you just hit on something that kind of to me. We've been talking about what is code compliant, what can you get council okay for, and obviously this is a building that you have found that is within the limitations of something that doesn't require having
council approval. Yeah.
But in terms of an ongoing solution to our housing problems or our environmental problems, what we really need, I think, is to have councils and legislation that is actually going to be a little bit more sympathetic to an alternative style of housing, and hopefully, that sort of change will come around. It's more just about saying that, the whole way that law works essentially is that there is a problem, and then about 5 or 10 years later the legislation catches up and says, oh, okay, we'll rejig things to make to absorb that problem. It's very reactive. And what I hope with things like these buildings is that you don't end up with a situation where it takes too long to get to a point where the legislation is supportive of an alternative style of housing. And I think that there's enough momentum with the architectural world and the world more generally to show that there's support behind this type of structure.
We don't even know yet, right? Because this is kind of the journey that we might go down, and we might actually find that
it's all fine.
Councils are like, sweet, and will help us all along the way. But
there's certainly building codes in place, and there's industry standards. And any other words in conclusion?
Oh, thanks so much for having us here. It's awesome to see.
I feel like we're stepping into a community, the willingness of you to just let us into your second home.
And hopefully through our words, it will inspire other viewers to come and I guess get involved. I think. Oh, thank you, Stuart.
Great, thanks a lot,
Alicia.
Thanks very much.
I'll see you and see you later at the Worship Bands.